What is going on, guys? My name is Amos, and in today's video we're going to see how we can create a calculator in C, right? So we've already created a file, calculator.c. So all you have to do is to click on this explorer icon, and then click on this new file icon, and then you'll be able to give your file a name and as well as the extension. All right, so now I'm just going to give myself enough room, so I'm going to collapse this explorer panel, right? So the first thing that we have to do is that we have to include the necessary libraries. So what are we supposed to do? So here we're going to go pound and include, and we are supposed to include the stdlib. We're supposed to the C standard library, and then we're also going to include the stdio.h header file. And then every C program has to have a main function. So we're going to declare the main function. So here, the return type of our main function is going to be of type, the return type is going to be integer, and then we want to create our function main, and then we want to define the block of this function. So by those curly braces, right? So what variables do we need? Well, we will need to ask the user to enter two numbers, and then we'll also ask them to enter the operation, whether they want to add the numbers, whether they want to subtract the numbers, whether they want to multiply the numbers, or whether they want to perform a division. So we're going to give them those options. So we'll need one variable to store the first number, the second variable is going to store the second number, and then the third variable is going to store the operation that the user is going to enter. So the first variable is going to be of type float, because we want them to be able to add real numbers. We want them to be able to subtract real numbers, to multiply real numbers, as well as to divide real numbers. Now here you can also choose a double if you want, but I'm going to go with float. So here we're going to say first number, like so. Now of course first number, and we're not going to provide anything because we're going to store in this variable the user's input. So for the second number, we're going to do the same. We're going to declare a float. So we're going to say second number. We're going to say second number, like so. And then the operation is going to be of type character. So we're going to say character OPR. Well, this is going to store the operation that the user is going to enter. Now we need to ask the user for the three pieces of information that we have here: the first number, the second number, and the operator. Well, here I'm going to allow myself to use the puts function. So inside the puts function, we're going to say right? So we need those, right? So here we're going to say please enter the first number. So here we're going to say please enter the first number, and then we want to be able to store that first number. Now here we remind ourselves that okay, the variable that is going to store this number is going to be of type float. So here we're going to say scanf, and of course we're going to end that with the semicolon. And for the first part here, we're going to throw in our percentage. We're going to throw in our percentage f, because the variable that is going to store this is of type float. And here we're going to throw in that ampersand, and here we want to say that we want to store that into the first number variable. Now I'm going to allow myself to copy and paste, because we don't have to do that, the same thing 3 times. So here we're just going to change the text. So here we're going to say, please enter the second number. Please enter the second number. And here we're going to say that we want to store this in, here we're going to say second number, right? And then here we don't want to say first number, but we want to say, please enter the operation. Please enter the operation. So we're going to give them, some indication here that you can enter a plus, we want to allow them to be able to enter a plus. We're also going to tell them that they can enter a minus. We also want to tell them that they can also enter an asterisk for multiplication. Then we also want to tell them to enter a / for division. So here we're giving them a hint. Like, what operation are we expecting them to enter? So if they enter any other operation, then we don't know what to do. So this is a basic calculator, and the operations we are going to be performing are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, right? So now here we are not going to store the operation in first number. We're going to store it in OPR. And OPR is of type character. So here we're going to throw in our percentage C, and then we're going to put a space in front, because what is going to happen is that if we're going to have a leading space, instead of reading the operation the user is going to input, we're going to get that leading space. So that is going to be a problem, because we don't know what to do with that leading space. So to trim off that leading space, that leading space, or that white space, or simply put the space, the leading space that is going to be in front, well, we're going to throw in our space over there, and then we're going to correctly read the user's input. So that is very, very important. If you don't put a space, well, you're going to run into that problem. Right, so now we've asked the user for the 3 pieces of information that we need, and then we've stored these pieces of information in their respective variables. Now let us verify that we are actually getting the correct information. Let's actually verify that we're getting the correct information. So here, what we're just going to do to test whether we're getting the correct information, we're just going to do a printf. Right, we're just going to do a printf. Then here we're going to say first number. We're going to say first number, and then we're going to say equals, and then we're going to throw in our percentage f here, and then we're going to say second number. Second number, we're going to say equals, and then we're going to throw in our percentage f, and then we're going to say operation, and then we're going to say equals, and then we're going to throw in our percentage c. And then here, what do we want to print out? Well, we want to print out the first number. We want to print out the first number. We also want to print out the second number. We also want to print out the OPR. Now, I'm just going to allow myself to save the program, and then we're going to compile the program and then see the output, right? So that is great. All right, so now we're going to wait. Wow, program compiled with 0 errors. Now that is good information. And then here we're going to say dot forward slash, and then the name of the file, calculator, and please enter the first number. We're going to enter 10. Please enter the second number. We're going to enter 20. Please enter operation. We're going to enter plus, and boom, we got the expected result. So the first number is 10. Now we have 0.000. It is because it is of type float, and we know we can easily get rid of these zeros, right? So we have 20, we have 10, and we have the correct operation. Now that looks good. So now this gives me this gives me the zeal to actually proceed with my program. So we're actually getting the correct information. So what we're going to do is that we're now going to implement the logic. Like, what is going to happen if the user enters a plus? What is going to happen if the user enters a minus? And what is going to happen if the user enters a multiplication or a division or a forward slash? What is going to happen? So we're going to use a switch statement. Now, a switch statement. Now, this is actually going to give us, the ability. This is going to give us these lovely cases here that we can take, like what we're going to, where we can write, where we can declare or write what we want to happen when the user enters a plus. So here we're going to say we want to switch based on the value the user enters for the operation. So if the user is going to, well, we would have just entered and things would have just happened there, but it's not a problem. So now the operation variable is of type character. So here we need our single quotes. So what is going to happen if the user enters a plus? Well, here we have to declare one more variable here that is going to store the result of our calculation. So we're going to say float. We're also going to, it's also going to be of type float, and then we're going to say result, like so. And then when the user enters a plus, well, we just want to add the 2 numbers that the user is going to enter. We just want to add the 2 numbers. So here we're going to say result is going to be equal to, here result is going to be equal to first number, and then plus second number, right? And then we're going to end that with a semicolon. Now I'm going to copy this logic, and then I'm going to do the same for our division for the other operations that we have. So copy it 4 times. That looks good. And then here we want to say when the user enters a minus, that is why we have an error here, because it's the same thing. So here when we enter a minus, what we want to do, well, what we want to do is we want to throw in that minus there. And then when the user enters an asterisk, we want to multiply the two numbers. So here we're going to throw in our asterisk. Same here, we know that for multiplication in C, we have to throw in that lovely asterisk. Now for the division, the user is going to enter a /, and then here we're also going to enter our /. Now let me just because the first number variable is of type float, and the second number variable is of type float, so this division is going to be division for real numbers. But if the first number was of type int and the second number was of type int again, well, we need to do an implicit kind of we need to specify, we need to force the compiler to perform division for real numbers. So in that case here we would have to write this. In that case, we'd have to write something like this. So here we're going to say float, for example, float. So this is going to be, this is known as casting. So here we're going to say something like this. So this is actually going to force the compiler to perform division between real numbers. That is if our variables are of type int. Now we don't need to do that here because our variables are of type float, right? And then in the default case, this is where we're going to specify what is going to happen if the user enters something else. That is, the user does not enter the operations that we provide for them. So here we just want to say we do not understand what you have entered. So we do not understand. So here we're just going to say we do not understand. We do not understand. We do not understand. And we want to set result to 0. Here we're going to say result is going to be equal to 0, right? And then now, for each case, if the user enters a plus, we're going to perform this operation here, and then we're going to break out of the switch statement. Now for each case, we're going to be breaking out. If the second case is true, we're going to break out of the what? We're going to break out of the switch statement. Now after breaking out of the switch statement, result is going to be equal to any of these values. It can be the sum of the two numbers that the user enters. It can be the difference of the two numbers the user enters. It can be the product. It can be the quotient. So what is going to happen is that after breaking out of this switch statement, we are going to have some value that is going to be passed to the result variable. So what do we want to do after the switch statement? It is here that we want to print out the result of the calculation that the compiler is going to perform, right? So here we're going to say printf, and then here we're going to say ANS, that is going to be short for answer, is going to be equal to, now here we're going to throw in our lovely %d and the %f, sorry, because result is of type float. And then we want to say that we just want to have 2 decimal places. So let's just have 1. So here we're going to say 0.1, right? And then here we're going to throw in our result, right? Result. Now that looks good to me. Now let's see if this program is going to work. Let's see if this program is going to work. So I'm going to clear my console so that we do not have, so that we don't, my terminal, sorry, so that we don't have a bloated terminal. And we allow our program to compile, and boom, it compiled with no errors. So we're going to now run our program. Please enter the first number. Now let me just make this terminal window a little bit bigger so that everyone can see. So we're going to enter 10. we're also going to please enter the second number. So we're going to enter 20 as the second number. Now the result has to be 30.0 because, you know, we specify that we only want one decimal place, right? Numbers that are going to have one decimal place, right? So the result has to be 30.0. And we enter our operation. So that is for addition, sorry, that is for addition. And 10 plus 20, that has to be 30.0, and we get the correct result. Now I'm going to rerun my program, and let me just test you know, my subtraction, right? Please enter the first number. We're going to allow ourselves to enter a 10 again, and we're going to enter a 20. And then here we're going to say that we want to subtract the two numbers, and the result has to be minus 10.0. And boom, we get the correct result. Now I'm going to clear my terminal window. I'm going to rerun my program, and then I'm going to test now there's one case that we've not covered here. There's one case that we've not covered because the user might enter 0 for the second number in the case of division. So we need to treat that case. So we need to go back to our program and see how we can allow ourselves to solve that particular problem. We know that division by 0 is going to be a problem. So we want to be able to tell the user that they've entered a number. The second number doesn't have to be 0, because if the first number is non-zero and the second number is 0, we'll get division by 0. So that is going to be an error. Right, now let's test our lovely multiplication. We enter 10, we enter 20, and we're going to enter an asterisk this time to signify that we want to multiply the two numbers. And of course 20 multiplied by 10 is 200. Now because our result is of type float, and we've specified that we want one decimal place, and there we go, we get 200.0. Now that is okay. Now what did I just do? Now that is the correct thing to do. Now let's correct our program here for division, because the user might enter a second number that is going to be 0. So right here we want to use an if statement. So we want to say if second number is equal to 0, if second number is equal to 0, then what are we supposed to do here? Here we're going to say we're going to print something to the screen. So here we're going to say, now I'm just going to use my puts. And then here we're going to say second number cannot be 0. Now that's a better message. So second number cannot be 0. Cannot be 0. Right? Second number cannot be 0. We're going to end that with a full stop. And else we just want to, and then here we're also going to set the result equal to 0. We want to set the result equal to 0. That's a good practice. So we have to set our result equal to 0. Right, our result is going to be equal to 0, and else we just want to, you know, because if the second number is different from 0, then what can possibly go wrong? So here we're just going to throw in our calculation. Right, here we can just throw in our calculation. Now we're going to cut that, then we're going to tab, then we're going to throw in that calculation. So let's test our division. But first of all, we need to recompile our program because we've made changes to our program. And of course, we recompile our program. Boom, nothing went wrong. And right, so we're going to run our program. Please enter the first number. Now here, I'm just going to make my terminal window a little bit bigger so that we can all see what is happening here. So I'm going to enter my 10, and then I'm going to enter 0 for the second number. And then here I want to enter my /. So here we should get second number cannot be equal to 0 because the second number is equal to 0. Boom. Second number cannot be 0. So that is okay. Now let's do it the correct way. So we run our program. Now we enter a 20. We then enter a 10 for the second number, and then please enter the operation. So we want to enter division here, and the result has to be 2.0. Boom, that is okay. Now, you can also, add more operations to this calculator, like for example, taking, raising a certain number to a certain power, raising maybe 2 to the power 3, you can easily do that. You can also add many operations to this calculator. You can just add many, that corresponds to adding many cases, to adding additional cases to this switch statement. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.